Yeah, okay. We did a little bit here in ELAN with potentially setting up some tiers. If you want to add new tiers, we just want to sort of review this real quick. You're going to go to tier, add new tier, and you can add as many as you want. We put a segment, we put a gloss on there. But what we have to do is if you add it, you have to set Lingít as the parent tier, or utterance. If you haven't, we also changed the name of these tiers just to show how it could be done. So the way you do that is under change, you can highlight a tier and you could change the name of it right here. So this one says gloss copy. So we're gonna get rid of the copy part. And you hit change and now it's done. If you add a tier, so we got segment, we got Lingít, English, segment, gloss. If we want to add one for notes, we could, but just make sure they all have the same parent tier. The parent tier, that means this is the one where you make the first note. And then the first entry, whatever we call it. And then everything else is built off of that. They're all linked to that same length. That way, if you change the length of one, you change the length of all of them. So then we listen to the first part of this. This is the first recording. The first line is this. Janwu. And that is mountain goat. And then that got us to the second line, which we wrote down as Ye aayí Lingít ʼatángi. And now we need to translate that. And then we'll get to the second one. Good foods, but the aayí part.
This is lots of Lingít food. Or there, what you might say in English, there are lots of Lingít foods.
There are lots, yes. Yeah, so let's look up kugé just for a second. We're gonna go into the verb dictionary, and the microphones aren't working, so those of you in the room might have to. You say something, and I'll try to repeat it. I guess is how we'll take care of it. And I'll take these to the kashuk echt seqanan. So let's switch to the verb dictionary and just make sure we're looking up kugé because we got a verb now. So here's yagé, and then ye kugé. Okay, so we have actually I don't see it. So it's related to this one. Okay, hold on. Okay. Let's try this. Okay. So here's gay. I think it's in here. Oh wait, here it is. Oh, here it is. So this is the one that we're looking at, yekuke. But we have to remember there's two definitions here. For something to be big, or something to be so big, or to be so many. So the difference here between yage and yekuge is here, one is saying big or many. So yage is big or many. Yekuge is this big or that many. And so when we come back to here, if I were listening to this, I think of King Gisi when we recorded the Tan and Esawa story. He said, he's introducing himself, and he said, Shanguki dich hasati. And then he said, I think he said, Jilqat dachkat qut. Then I think he said, hit, kautlayai hit, shiski hit, yewe yekuge, hanaka hitki. And I think it's being used in that way right here. So it's not saying, you would say yagay Lingít atcha would be Lingít foods are plentiful. But if you say yekugay Lingít atcha, or ye ayakuge Lingít atcha, I think it's saying something a little bit different. So if we just said that, like, if, for example, for us, we could say, ya hahitki, shahit, qaisan hit, kushta hit, yel hit, yel kuti hit, yel kichi hit, dechawushi hit, yewe yekuge hanaka hitki. I would translate that last part. Or how do you folks think you would translate that last part? It's a little tricky because it's a list of names and then it's a verbal statement.
It's a big Tlingit food.
It's not, I wouldn't say it's big, because you could say it's Tlingit foods are this big. But the other thing is to say Tlingit foods are that many. So for example, if I just did that thing where I named a bunch of clan houses, and I said, Yeowe ye kuge ha hitki, hanaka hitki, I would translate that part as, that is how many clan houses we have. Which is interesting, because it wasn't a number, I wasn't counting them. I mean, I was counting them on my fingers. And so, and this is something we might come back to later as we listen to more of what he has to say. I would probably say, maybe you could go this way. Or you could say how many, right? But it's, you got to come, this is a contextual sort of thing. So you might have to come back. And then he gives us this one.
Lingít.
I'll give you one. There's one part. I'll give you two. I give you two, you give me the next one. And you could slow this thing down. Like here's this thing right here.
Lingít.
So there is a, but there's something right before.
Lingít.
If I were to say this slow, I would say Lingít sh'at.
Lingít.
You hear it now?
Lingít.
Oh, right, because we just have all we have is a recording, right? So headphones, areas and times where you can focus. Try to be kind of pretty level. Like if you like coffee, maybe do this before you get to the 6th cup of coffee. If you like desserts, maybe do this before you've had like the 3rd. I'm not trying to criticize anybody for having too much coffee or sweets, but drink lots of water. You know, this stuff, it makes you tired. Lingít is a term I probably didn't even know this till like a year or two ago. Has anybody heard a term like this? There's also, well, I think sh'at is, there's another way you could say this, but we'll just leave it at this one. Because there's like the literal thing, right?
Yeah, when I heard it, I didn't hear that. I thought it was more like sha'at.
Yeah, it's very fast. Yeah. So sh'at, and I've also heard a sh'adat at. is traditional foods.
Lingít gaat.
And it's an important term. I don't think it's in any dictionaries right now. Maybe it's in the maybe
May,
list. Huh?
how does the shh fit in there, and how does it become traditional?
Okay, yes, that's a good question. So let me answer that by looking in this list real quick, and then we'll take some notes. Okay. Because we're going to learn a lot from these recordings. So here's a noun spreadsheet, and it's from Jeff Lear. We're going to go see if we could find anything under sh'adat or sh'a'at. And I don't know if we're going to go. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. So that means we have to do a little bit of work here. And that's okay. Oops. Okay, so let's take a few notes here. So there is this thing that I started noticing a while back. And there's a related set of things in terms of how they're working, but their meaning is kind of its own thing. So here we have sh'a'at. And then I think when I first heard this kind of thing, and then we also have sh'adat. I heard Hajakti say, okay, I think he said sh'adat tundati. Has anybody heard that? Okay. So let's start with just the sh'a part. What the heck? So what could we have with these two parts right here? It would kind of, what's the SH? Let's just start with that.
Is that ours or to ourselves?
The self. Yes. So this is, you might also see this as chush and like one's own or the self. And now you have sh'a'at. So it's like the things to one's own, the things of one's own mouth kind of things, like one's own mouth thing. That's what you end up with. Sh'adat at, the thing around one's own mouth. Sh'adat tundati. Think about the things around your own mouth. And the way he translated this one, and I think these might be related, right? Just conceptually. So this one is weigh your words. So when he told us that, he's like, because once you put it out, can't put it back in, right? And so sh'adat tundati is weigh your words. Sh'adat at. These are both just different ways that I have heard of traditional foods. The very first time I heard this, we were doing some ELAN work years ago on a Kakwan Ish story that we haven't finished yet. It's Kustin Naq. And at the beginning of it, he says, well, and the translation is, a lazy person starves in the winter. Lingít people used to be in the habit of working on their foods. And I think he said shkadat at yuklaat or something like that. So like that's the verb you can use. And it means to like yuklaat, to pack, to carry personal items or belongings. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here with this term, but for now, shkaat and shkadat at. And when we had language gatherings last summer, it was Kenny Grant who was bringing this term up and wanted us to talk about it. Hold on. Microphone just woke up. I don't know what's going on. I guess the battery died. I don't know what's going on. Okay, can you still hear me? Okay, good.
Ah,
Be able to hear other people. Yay. Oh yeah, there we go. Work on your traditional foods, right? So there's another important verb with this, which is yankauslaga. Yankauslaga, is that it? To accumulate foods. Okay. So right off the bat, we're getting hit with some heavy knowledge. I do think it goes into a little bit easier list making after this, but we'll see. Any questions? Okay, we're 5 seconds in. Hooray. Look at how long this one is. This will be fun. Okay. Hold on, let me get a couple more. Everybody gets a microphone. Okay.
Joey Blake Caw. Potentially.
So the other thing, and so like working in this program, like so we have our little entry here, and I can double click in here. And now that I've double clicked, I can listen to just parts of it by clicking and dragging, then letting go. And now I'll push the shift key and then the space bar. So I say, okay, well, what's this part?
Tried writing down what I heard, but I don't know if it makes sense. I don't even know if it's a sound. I couldn't even figure out how to say EICH, like HH.
I think we've got the first 4 words. What is the 5th word?
Taich.
away. Yeah, something like H away. No. Ahucho.
Happens if we go 70. Okay.
He wished the car.
Tlein ʼatángi. Aayí shuhuchaqua.
Say it again.
I heard the word shagook, I think.
Shagu or shagoon?
Gook.
Oh,
Ooch, aqua.
To know how? I'm not sure.
Aayí aayí shuhuchaqua. Aayí aayí shuhuchaqua.
we just gotta get this middle.
Aayí shuhuchaqua.
Ooh.
Aayí shuhuchaqua. Aayí shuhuchaqua.
Te hoog ja.
Oh,
Aayí shuhuchaqua.
shagu, shagu.
Se hoog ja.
Aich away yesh yeshahu.
Shahu. Shahush,
Like that.
aqua.
Yeah.
Yeah, shahu,
Ah.
hoof, aqua.
Aayí shuhuchaqua.
Yesha.
Ooch, aqua. Yeah.
Aayí shuhuchaqua. A clicked at the signing.
Who picked this record?
I was listening to these over and over again, man.
So we'll leave this for now. We'll come back. We have something in here. That is why. The letra,
Yep, the white.
the white man. Away. I do have, I think this is something about like, there's something to do with fat, right? Like fatty foods or something that's being talked about perhaps. Something. Yeshachu. So chuch has to do with summoning, if that's the verb. Chuchah.
A clicked at the signing. A clicked at the signing. A clicked at the signing.
The aayí.
Mm-hmm. Akik are to sign in, but I'm
A
not.
clicked at the
That's-
signing. A clicked at the signing.
I think
To sign
it's clear.
Akik. But to sign in.
A clicked at the signing. A wen shukutans.
Is that an S? Adus.
Und
Oops.
at the was. A clicked at the signing.
Or is that an L?
Sign in. Sign in.
At the signing.
This? Oops.
Adusa. Sign in. Yeah, oh, could be.
A clicked at the
Signing.
signing.
Sign. Sign.
Akik kat signing. Sawen shaku tanks. Sawen shaku tanks. Sawen shaku tanks.
Wow, this is big stuff.
Sawen shaku tanks.
Utanch.
Shaku tanks. Sawen shaku tanks.
Shakutan.
The
Shakutan.
the way the ku yeah kutanch.
Sawen shaku tanks.
Shakutan.
Kutanch. Yeah.
Hmm.
My grandfather would have named him.
Oh, I can sign.
Signing. Akik kat signing. Akik kat signing.
So this, yeah, I do think this would be naming. Like it's in there, and then you used to. It's interesting that the d is in there.
Akik kat signing. Akik kat signing. Sawen shaku tanks. Sawen shaku tanks.
Is there something in between these two words?
Sawen shaku tanks.
The way she could, yeah, there is, yeah. The way
Punch.
she could touch. The way she could touch. She could touch.
Okay. Well, I know some easier things are coming. We'll come back to that.
Kunt. Kunt.
Cunt.
Yay.
Yay.
Manageable, very manageable. Do we translate that?
Potatoes.
Kate kwasak to hegen. Kate kwasak to hegen. Kate kwasak to hegen.
Is
Kate
he saying
kwasak to hegen.
the anhu vegetable?
Here?
Kunt.
No.
More potatoes.
Yeah.
So this is, as we're getting a sentence here.
Kate kwasak to hegen.
Atu kwasak.
At the end, is he saying something like a hini or a shin?
Kunt.
I don't know why potatoes would be from the ocean, but
Kate kwasak to hegen. Kunt.
Du wasak.
Yeah, I'm hearing that. Ooh.
Du ging. Du.
Kate kwasak to hegen. Kate kwasak to hegen. Kate kwasak to hegen.
God. Do a sock.
Kate kwasak to hegen. Kate kwasak to hegen. Hatoqasaqtueqin.
Wasak. I don't know. Wasak. Yeah.
Hatoqasaqtueqin. Hatoqasaqtueqin.
Oh,
Lock in there, maybe. Going
bacon.
Hatoqasaqtueqin.
Oh,
Flock to Echen.
Oh,
Hatoqasaqtueqin.
let it be this.
To Echen.
Mm.
Hatoqasaqtueqin.
Sounds long to me, but okay. We're gonna come back to the harder parts. Okay, well, we made our mark. We'll move along.
Hatoqasa.
Oh, there it is again.
Yeah.
Hatoqasa.
Kwasu-
Hadu Hwasla.
Yeah.
Hatoqasa.
Sounds like katu hwasla, like cut to, yeah. To
There's some,
hwasla.
it's a very interesting part.
Atena. Atena.
Gladena. Gladena.
That's I think that's a noun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Gladena.
Is that can someone just name that thing?
Gladena. There we go. mm. Level place, that's the closest.
No, I think
yeah.
is-
It's one of the words for turnip.
turnip.
Ladane.
What is the other thing that's like that? Yeah, there it is.
Oh, right there.
Rutabaga.
Gladena.
Bega, that's what it was. Sheesh.
Yeah.
Dane,
Ladena.
Kindachuna. Kindachuna.
Mallard.
what conductionate? Yes.
Little doves
Conduction.
or little
Kindachuna.
pigeons.
It might grow straight up.
It is, yeah, this is straight up. So we got kindachunate. So kindachun is that's what I'm hearing.
Kindachuna.
That's what he's saying. So he's grouping them together?
Yeah, and that could be the name of some other root vegetable.
Bird.
Carrot.
It could be a carrot.
Or a pigeon or a dove.
Because
That's
there is, let's see, there are a number of these things with like kindachun, right? So kindachun on its own means straight upwards, and that chun, like yadachun, it's working like that. So kindachunate, kindachun. And this like Kindachuna, I don't have any names for anything like that. You were saying, what kind of little bird were you saying?
I thought I saw somewhere where it was dove or pigeon. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. It's a Kindachunedi.
Mm-hmm.
Goes up through the face of the cloud. So Kindachunedi, it's called that because it flies straight up like an arrow. Basically, that's what it was explained to me. Lots of things to come back to.
alaḳú, alaḳú,
Anahu. Anahu.
Rutabaga
How you spell this thing?
or parsnip.
ʻatqishi,
ʻatqishi.
English Kainachwasa.
Ishi. Dry fish? Well,
Oh yeah, okay. Kadukatla. So these rutabagas and turnips got a few different names, right?
Hmm.
It's interesting. There must have been a lot more done with root vegetables, more than I'm doing anyways. So
They grow really
Cake.
well here.
yeah, right. It's like and the reliable things.
Renee,
Ah,
back where we had claw teich, that sounds to me like the white man's garden. And so I'm wondering if that's where the potatoes and the turnips and the rutabagas fit in.
ooh, now we're
ʻajote tqaatqaich awerishu hukchaqoa, ʻajote tqaatqaich awerishu hukchaqoa,
okay. Cheesh. That makes sense. We're out of the garden now, though, with this one.
teak,
key. But that doesn't make sense.
teak,
Oh, quiche.
qaat,
Oh,
At
Ishi. What do you think we're hearing here?
Dog salmon.
Fish.
qaat,
But got.
Got.
Mhm.
Sockeye.
Red.
chaat,
Halibut.
Chat.
Not chalk.
Oh, not chalk.
chaat,
That wasn't, oh, us, ta,
Humpy.
Umpy. Oh, chas.
sook,
Such. Coho.
Whoops. I'm stuck on caps.
shit, shit,
Eel head.
Ooh.
Fish test today.
qaat,
Dolly Varden.
What? Yeah.
cha, cha, cha,
Talking salmon?
I think so.
cha,
It sounds a little long.
It does. That's why I wasn't sure.
Is it a seal?
Well, then
cha.
that one is.
Maybe he was just correcting himself.
Yeah, I mean, we could speculate that he's listing these sounds and he says, saw, and it just leads him to this next thought. That's what I think when I first listened to it. That's what I thought was going on.
Cha, 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 cha,
Hmm.
tan,
Pond.
I got.
Mm.
Seal.
Sea lion.
Yeah.
tan,
Oh, look, we're a minute into this thing now. Woo. We still got to go back and work on some things.
yetewasak chakwa,
They do a song.
chakwa, yetewasak chakwa,
Agua. Hmm. Agua. What would that mean? Agua. Oh.
Maybe 63.
Oh. Sagua.
I think. I don't know. It's a spot just south of Angoon. It's still on that southwestern side of Admiralty. That's what I think. Just like one thought leading to another kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Someone says Sagua, I think of that place. Saguidi.
That would make sense. The place they call Sagua.
cha, cha, cha,
Sounds like ka.
cha,
What comes after?
We hear what's next. Yeah.
ka cha, ka cha, shicha, cha,
I think he says saw again. It's just coming.
Saw.
So if he says saw, then he says
ka cha,
and
That's
then he says
shicha,
Is that a deer?
each.
Purposes.
well, saw, pa, saw, sheech,
Each.
This is all three related things.
Female one.
Female, yeah.
Seal, male seal.
Yeah.
Seal. That's the baby.
what cha,
What?
what cha,
What?
Yeah. What?
Iska. Iska. What's ta?
Different.
What?
That doesn't make sense
What?
yet.
What's ta?
No.
Mm-mm. Yeah. What?
What's ta? Iska. Iska.
Yeast for young.
These new ones?
Yeesh.
Is he saying
Yeesh.
oh,
Ka. Iska.
Oh, young male ones.
Takwats. Takwats.
What? What?
Takwats. Takwats. Utayet.
Utayi. Utayi.
Utayet.
To Utayi.
Takwats.
Kagwat.
Quats. Takwats.
first sound.
It's like ta
Okay.
again. It's like ta or sa ta.
Takwats.
It's four,
What?
it's
A pinched L.
What? Yeah.
Takwats. Takwats.
there's something, and then maybe we get so it gets fat, maybe. But let's pause there. So this is recording 1, right? And that means
Mhm. This
we
is
got-
the easy one.
so they say. So I've heard. So I've
So
heard.
you said.
Somebody said that. So if we okay, here's number 2. Let's just see what we're dealing with here.
Ayet wasako kayo. Ayet wasako kayo. Ayet wasako kayo. Ayet wasako kayo.
Last part is probably just him clearing his throat, right?
Yes, I will.
I don't need to.
That one.
Okay.
Ayet wasako kayo.
Yeah. Do a sagu.
Ayet wasako kayo.
Yeah.
Ha.
Yeah.
Ayet wasako kayo.
Yeah.
Is there something between duosagu ka, like a something in between there?
Ayet wasako kayo.
It's just it's
Duosagu.
do
Just the
sagu.
go.
Do a sagu. Yeah.
Yeah. Sagu.
I don't know why it turns okay. So ye do a sak. We should know that. If we say
Mhm.
ye do a sagu ka. Why would it go to ye do a sagu? Yeah, so like ye do a sak would be they are called this. Ye do
Mhm.
sagu ka aayí. This person that is called, and then I'm sure we're gonna get the name.
He used to be called that.
Well, you would have you'd have do sagen. So you'd have to have the N on there and the classifier would have to go, it'd have to stay -0. So what you have here, there is this process that happens in Lingít. So you could say, for example, you could say ʼatángi, and then you say ʼatángini ha. So this would be, they are strong, and then this would be strong person, right? And you could do this with a bunch of state verbs, right? Tlein, aayí, aayí. So this is an attributive suffix which turns a verb into an adjective, right? So in this case, you have gay do a sagu. So, or for example, you could say Clifford, or whatever you name the thing is, right? So you'd say ye do a sagu ka would be this person who is named blank, and you're about to say their name, right? And so it's kind of an interesting way to sort of, and again, how these recordings go is he's just sort of like, he goes, it's all one recording. And he'll say something like hoocha or something like that.
Mhm.
Kind of pause for a second, and then he'll just start something else. And this is how he started with something else. So when you have that, ye do a sagu ka, you're saying this person that is called, and we're probably going to get their name right here.
Shalak tuakuk.
I wonder if there was something before.
Aayí de wasaku kayo. Shalak tuakuk. Shalak tuakuk. Shalak tuakuk.
Isn't he saying he's headed towards Lawak?
That's, yeah, 2 o'clock. Shawak 2 o'clock.
Shalak tuakuk.
Well, this, I'm not hearing that, but I know, I think it should be that.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it either.
Shalak tuakuk.
There's like this little clip right here. Maybe it cut out.
Shalak tuakuk.
So we'll put it in parentheses. Probably by boat.
Akayo. 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 Heinz Kotenik. Heinz Kotenik.
I Kaudanik.
Heinz Kotenik. Kotenik.
Odanik.
Heinz Kotenik.
Oh, yes. Oh, Danik.
Heinz Kotenik.
Kaudanik.
Would expect that. And so
Heinz Kotenik.
I'm just going to put it there for now.
Yeah, but you don't hear it.
That's true.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Well, it could be this.
Or it could be Kauslanik, not Kaudanik, right? Here,
Heinz
Kaudanik.
Kotenik. Heinz Kotenik.
I hear a di in there.
Yeah, I heard it too.
Which, okay, so if that's what it is, that's interesting. Let's see what's next.
Shalak.
Shawak.
I have 2 ways on it. Okay.
Akayo. Akayo.
What that part is.
Akayu.
Akayo.
Mhm.
Akayu. So our crew?
Akayo. Akayo.
G?
Are you?
Okay.
First part like
And
this.
yeah, I feel like it's a G, Gayu, rather than a
Akayo.
K. Ayu. Hakayu. Yeah.
Akayo.
Okay. I'll come back to it.
That could be.
I don't know what that would be. So what would ha'in skaudenik be?
Hold us.
Yeah.
That I would have to think because you have the SH and the D classifier combining to do something here. Well, it's more about the teller, I think. We can come in and look at that later. This is what I would think. And so I'll come back and check on that part.
Yeda wasak yukha.
Yedu the sock. Ka. What this person is called.
So for context, what do you think might be going on with this first 15 seconds of this recording? We have this person that is called. We went to Klawak. Not sure about that part. They told us about themselves. Klawak. That is what this person is called.
Is it the story about how the person's name came to be on the place?
I think so. So Klawak is one of the very few places that has the name of a person. So that could, it's like so many of these things are like interconnected, right? It's very advanced stuff. So if it's very difficult, don't worry. That's why we're doing all this stuff together.
Kita. Kita.
Boy.
Hida.
Kita.
Dach.
Dach.
Dach. Kita.
Dach. Is that it?
Hida. Dach. Yeah.
Kita.
So from P. And you can do something like this, right? And then what this does, and we could do this a whole bunch. It says, come back and, because I think when you do this type of work, you just got to keep going. There's some point where you just got to go, I don't know, I got to keep going. And then you come back later and you say, okay, let me go back to this thing and see. Because then sometimes in the context of everything, it starts to make sense. And then sometimes if you just give your brain a break from something, it's like, okay, maybe next time I listen to it, I'm going to catch it.
Uttishantra tekaoteha. Uttishantra tekaoteha.
With the shunt. Oh, the cow de ha.
Uddishanta takaoteha. Uddishanta takaoteha. Uddishanta takaoteha.
There's something very fast right in the middle.
Uddishanta.
Is there a wolf in there at the beginning?
Yeah, it's like
Uddishanta.
woody shunt. Yeah, woody shunt.
Uddishanta.
With a T?
T. Yeah,
Uddishanta
shunt.
tak. Uddishanta takaoteha.
Might just be that, I think. With the shunt type. Cow.
It's a pretty hard shunt though. You can
I-
hear that.
Uddishanta
pretty-
takaoteha. Uddishanta takaoteha.
I think he's just getting to the next sound.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
You don't know. I wouldn't expect a T on the end of that.
Yeah. Cow de ha.
Uddishanta takaoteha.
Cow de ha.
Uddishanta takaoteha. Uddishanta takaoteha.
But it's Chika.
I almost feel like I hear something between the W and the D in cow.
Uddishanta takaoteha.
Or are you just
Yesterday.
Oh, deha.
Oh, the ha.
What's wood is shun?
De shunt.
You got old?
Yeah.
It was old.
Oh, deha. So ha is always one that's going to send us into the root of 1,000 verbs. So
Mm.
here's 2 pages of ha. And so we're looking for ka and di. So
Cow de ha. Disappear.
cease to exist. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And it might be one where we sort of come back and look through. So we didn't get to number 3 yet. I thought we'd do like a little bit of each, but it's a slow crawl doing this work. And I'm going to tell you a little bit of my intentions. The third one is a story called Keet Goonie. And I started hearing about this story a few years ago. And there's this thing, I was trying to talk to these linguists about it, and they're being too practical for me. So doing this work in Lingít, sometimes I'll hear a word like shukar. The first time I heard that was when Marge Judson said it to me. She said, there's a Raven story, and Raven starts talking like he does, and she goes, there he goes again, shukar. I was like, what is that? I said, well, it's just what he's doing. He's going to get what he wants now. It's like, okay. And I just sort of thought about it. And then a couple of days later, we worked on a different story. And then in the story, which was recorded in 1950, the speaker goes, and I was like, hey, there's that word. You just said that word the other day. And then he starts singing a song. So then I looked it up, and it says to compose a song or sing a song that requires a response. I was like, what? And it's like, oh, it sounds like the love songs or something, that's got the yud key in it. So then I was going on I was on an airplane up to Fairbanks, and I stopped in Anchorage, and I ran into Kingisti, who's eating breakfast, and I said, "What does this word mean to you?" And he got all excited, and like, he's like, "It's calling the end back to the beginning." And I was like, huh. So then I was talking to these linguists about it when I was in Buffalo. I was like, is there a word for this when like it's like synchronicity or something like that, where this word just keeps popping up? And they said, oh, you're just tuned into it. Now you're listening for it. I was like, yeah, get out of here. That's too practical of an answer. It's bigger than that. And so I was thinking about that, because when you do this work, I think it's just going to lead in, it's going to open the doors for all these different things, like all this stuff that you've been doing for years, just like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit here. Now we get into these big sort of narratives. And so Keith Gooney started coming on my radar a couple of years ago, I think 2-3 years ago. All of a sudden, somebody told me about this place name where there's a hole that the killer whales go through underwater between these two long bays that connect, going Ak from Huna and Ak from Tinaqi. And then last summer, Kenny Grant, he was talking about this story. And they talked about it when we all went to Huna in the spring. And then I was on a boat from Shikakwe to Ak Kwan. And I was like, I wonder if I could find that story somewhere. And I did. And I think it's interesting because some people, okay, so Kohanti came out. It's really exciting. I'm getting books for everybody. I'm trying to figure out how to get books for everybody. I don't know why it's so complicated. Well, I'm not very good at things like this. And then people are maybe holding on to the books a little tightly, but we'll see. But one of the things that we did is I thought of this years ago. I was like, as we get these 9 stories going, I sent them to people who work in Haida and Simshan. I was like, you guys want to do like your versions of these? You want to translate these into your language? Wouldn't that be cool if we had these 9 books in these 3 different languages? And I guess there was a little bit of pushback on that. People were getting grumpy that things are getting translated into Haida. We're not stingy people. But I don't know why people would have a problem, because these stories all exist. Like we have the Bear Mother story, and what's the other one? Wasco, Hake, and Panakadate. They're the same story. Like they have little variations though. Shanyakutah, there's a Haida version of that. And so Keith Gooney is called Nanasimgit in Haida. And I get really excited when I find these like connections. So the 3rd recording is Keith Gooney. We're going to get to Keith Gooney, but we're going to just work through all 3 of these. We're going to get stuck on things, and we're just going to sort of leave them for now, come back to them later. That's how I like to do this work, because if you don't do it that way, you'll be stuck on 10 seconds for 6 hours, and then you just go crazy. So I think you just got to like move on, come back, move on, come back. So this is what we'll be doing for the next couple of weeks, but we'll mix in some other stuff with it. But this is our dive into the waters of Jimmy Johnson for now. Any questions or thoughts before we go?
I was just thinking, is the one just before it maybe Kichtach?
It might be.
Chita.
No,
Maybe. Put it in there, right?
Chita.
It sounds like Idach.
Yes.
I'd have to think, you think you know a lot, and then you listen to some speakers and it's like, well, I know a little bit. So you're standing at the feet of giants, which is fun stuff. Don't be scared or intimidated. It's all part of the process. You do some stuff like this, we get what we can, and then we'll take it to like, alaḳú Demer, and she'll be like, oh yeah, that's this thing. Like, okay, I don't know how I didn't know that, but and so it's fine. It's all fine. It's all part of the process. There'll be chunks of these that are easier to get than others, right? And then there'll be some where like doing this type of stuff though, it also helps you to hear what's in the language, right? When it comes by full speed, right? Okay. Okay. Shuhan.
Sheesh.
Anakchish.
Cheese.
Echa.
Sheesh.
Okay.
Renee,
Ah.
last week, Philadelphia, Kati. Ach, Dechnach, Yeet, Yeyati, Ka, University of Pennsylvania Museum, Ha, Lingít ʼatángi display. So as an act of anti-colonialism, I took photos of the exhibit and then I read out all the quotes in the middle of the gallery and no one noticed.
Okay.
Yakewe.
Cheese. Isatini.
Ziakin.